Hey there, weird and wonderful people. I am back. I started with a small raffle because I got bored and I wanted some extra excitement, and I've always loved doing these raffles. This time I hosted the raffle on Blue Sky, and the lucky winner is this cute Hellborn from Nico the Cinderace? I am so sorry if I mispronounced that. I should have it up on the screen right now. So let's get started. She's super cute. I don't know what kind of animal or sinner inspired creature she is, but I took a lot of inspirations from mousy kind of thing. So I decided to try to stay as close to the reference sheet as I could. Her personality was relatively easy to pick up on this time. She looked very aggressive, very confident. So I tried with a couple different poses of that aggressive, almost threatening nature. First pose wanted to be something a bit more eccentric, some really dynamic, but it was feeling a little bit too masculine for me, and I felt like you couldn't get a good view of the face from where it was. So I put it to the side, and like, maybe I'll see it. Let's try another pass. Another pass was a lot more straightforward. It's a power move walking towards the camera. Wanted something a lot more open for the silhouette, especially with the wings. And I also just did a small drawing just a little bit before on a similar pose, and I wanted to try to practice that pose a little bit more with the walking motion. And honestly, it read a lot easier than the first pose, and it came a lot easier. I did a third pass just in case, just to stretch some muscles on some extreme dynamic posing. It didn't work. Don't ask where it went. It's gone. So, going with the walking pose, I kept a really close eye on the proportions. I saw her arms were a lot longer. I don't know if that was intentional on the original artist's part, but I decided a slim, feminine build would be a lot better, considering that they are very feminine presenting. I don't know their pronouns, and I'm just going by assumptions at this point. I got the idea since she was in school. I'm not drawing a school scene. I'm not doing lockers, all that. No, this is for fun. And I'm like, what if she's walking down a hall and like scratching the wall as she goes? That's really intimidating. So I decided to go with that, and just a different kind of exercise than the typical arms relaxed on the sides. You need to challenge yourself as an artist. And I wanted something a little bit more engaging for my mind. Focusing on the torso, I had the torso facing away from where the hand was pulling. Since there a lot of force and energy is going towards that line, the body would lean away from it because it's leading it on. I wanted the wings. I'm a fan of big wings, okay? If you're gonna give me someone with wings that look like it's mid to large part of its body, I'm giving them big wings. Normally with the wings, I would do my typical knuckles, fingers, wrist, the arm elongated kind of vibe. But this looked a lot more anime schoolgirl kind of vibe, and I wanted to respect that original idea a little bit more. So I went for a lot more of the cartoony, lower back to almost hip placement of it, and just letting the fingers fall naturally. I had to do a bit of a guessing game with the face, since the original reference, her face was mostly covered. So she looked very cutesy, had very big cheeks, large forehead, but it was the eyes that really brought in the attitude of a more mature figure. Framed the eyes a lot sharper, but brought in the cheeks, pulled out the cheeks, brought in the chin, gave her a wild mane. I thought it was quite cute, and my idea and my mind very much latched onto the line of a mouse with a mane. It was fabulous. I went with it. Don't judge. Honestly, going on to the dress, I loved the dress idea. Having, I don't know, stockings or fishnets. I was going to do fishnets, but there was no cross-hatching, so I wanted to stay with more with leg warmers or leggings with the arms. But the red dress with almost a turtleneck look, super cute. Love it. 10 out of 10. Would rock it myself if I could. And with the tattering and stuff like that, if you accentuate the lines of the tear a little bit further than the body, it gives more of a 3D look where it's actually overlapping. And with the stocking that's half down, with the leg that was behind, you have to follow the curve of the calf and the leg to make it a little bit more in motion, show that weight. Line weight honestly, with her being so rugged, I didn't focus so much on the thin to the light and dark to the, dark. Because I didn't know where the light was originally going to come, but also I really wanted to keep that rugged, raw look to her, bring in some of the body, some of the ruggedness, and just flow, instead of just focusing on line weight. Sleeves are relatively easy to do. Just make sure to outline the curves of the forearms and the bends of the elbow and stuff like that. Basic stuff. I could have changed her to make a little bit more in line, because this is a Helluvaboss / Has-Been Hotel raffle. But she looked like she could have been in the series as is, with the animal qualities and the proportions and the attitude. I didn't feel the urge or the need to overly exaggerate her or accentuate a lot of stuff. I want to stay relatively original with it. No major creativity leads. I got a little bit creative with the rendering, and maybe I had a little bit too much fun with the rendering, but it was a slow day. I wanted to have fun. Have fun with what you're doing. Small tip for making tears and burn marks or anything like that in tattered clothing. The line, make it very asymmetrical. And I don't mean asymmetrical as in compare side to side. I mean vertically. Have the top of the rip or the tear or whatever a lot darker compared to the bottom. That will add shadow and dimension, showing that there is a weakness in the actual fabric. If you just do a solid line in the actual fabric, it just looks like polka dots. With a better idea of how the foreground was going to look, I saw a video where you could just make a general grid and manipulate that into the better position for perspective. And I wanted to try that. I tried it first, liked it, so I reverted it back to add just more of a dirty kind of tile look, more worn. For any of you who are new to the channel, welcome to the coloring phase. I know this is not the right color. This is not meant to be the right color. I pick an obnoxious color to outline, and then I color inside of it. That way you don't have to worry about anything outside the line, the things overlapping the wrong way. And I use an obnoxious color on a gray background just to have it a little bit easier on the eyes. And this is how, in my mind and my practice, it just goes back a lot faster. Because you can see exactly where it's meeting the actual end of the lines, and once everything's outlined, you can use a much thicker brush to quickly fill it in instead of doing scratching and for each individual part and completely destroying the protector on your iPad and or Cintiq of your instrument, your equipment. So this is just, for those of you who don't know, this is how I color characters. I first fill them out with a really obnoxious, typically dark to neon color, and then I go in with the actual colors. In the main reference, there's a lot of just solid black. Black on black on black on black. And a lot of newer or a lot of amateur artists or new artists will just do black on black on black on black when there's so much value in a deep purple or blue. So I tried starting out with a deep blue on the wings, but with the white gradient, you clearly see it was a lighter blue tint in the wings, and I couldn't do that. So I went for a 3 shades lighter black on the wings, and then doing the gradient. I also figured doing the gradient right off the bat, I wouldn't be fighting with that compared to doing other solid colors. And I typically work with the largest color getting filled in first, and then going in with the lesser colors. So with the tail, it's that, if you look really closely, it is black, but the hair, I went for deeper blue. Your eyes get really, really tired if it's only black on black on black, or if it's just one shade of one style of color. Your eyes get really tired, and it can be really hard to lead the eye where you want it to go. Humans crave looking to white first and black or dark next. So I also didn't want her to get just fleshed out or just completely hidden in a dark background. So I added a bunch of blue highlights in the hair to add a little bit more texture and just to show the flow of the hair a lot more. I also broke a small art rule where I blocked out her hair from her eyes just to fully see the eye. I didn't want to hide the eyes. Honestly, just had a lot of fun with the background. Wanted something really dark but vibrant, so I went for a purple for the darkest part of the hallway to a lighter blue, considering there's so much red in the design. I thought that would complement it very well. And added little scratchies on the wall just to show some fun. There was a lot of blood and viscera and stuff in the original. I didn't feel like playing with a bunch of splatter brushes and stuff like that, and there was no active fight, so it didn't make sense to have just blood for the sake of blood, and some people it can be a bit triggering for. My boots and the leggings are a good example of how I render. I'll do a very saturated point. I'll do a bright color on top of where I want the lights to go, and then I'll saturate it with around the light parts, because when light hits, it saturates it before it goes back to dark. Same with rendering flesh. The brightest part will be the most faded or closer to white, and then you will have the saturated or flesh tones around that, and then the darker tones just to show the design of the face and the body. Going in with more pushing and pulling, I could have called it there. I really could have with the flat colors, and sometimes with my raffles, I do call it there just at the flats, depending on how much inspiration I have or just how much time or energy I have at that moment of making the piece. But I had a little bit more of inspiration, so I decided to go a little bit more, have a little bit more fun. It's been a while since I've had something fully rendered, and I've been trying to find different styles to render different flesh tones, and saw an example and excuse to do that. May have gotten a little bit overboard with the dress. The more wrinkles, the more of a texture you put in, the thinner of a fabric it's going to look, but I really wanted to show that leg coming forward in the actual silhouette and the line work, and having those extra shadows with the actual skirt and the dress really helps that. Wanted to have a more glowing effect with the eyes, so I started with a really muted red, came in with a neon red, and then just to accent it, went with a pink to do some highlights around the eyes, just to have that glowing effect. Added in some final touches with the face and the ears, and darkened the hair a little bit more. Before I noticed she was washed out a bit. A lot of her was actually just hiding in the background, so I went in with a final brush with some highlights around the boots, the leggings, and the hair, just to have her stand out a little bit more. Ta-da! What you think? I think she looks quite cute. I definitely kept that menacing but young look, and I'm quite happy with it. I do very much want to do a very thorough and appreciative shout out to Nico for being patient with this. This should have gotten out about 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately some health problems came up and they've been beyond understanding, and I appreciate the patience with that because sometimes life does happen. Depending on the month, I am planning on doing more raffles, not just with this, but also potentially other themed ones, whether it's dragons or I'm slightly getting back into my My Little Pony phase, so I've actually got a small video potentially planned for that. Yes, the animatic is still in process. It's a lot of drawings. It'll be here before next year. Yeah. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe and sane. Bye! do 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 do